haven't been practicing. I could just as well tell you I've been an agent for 2 weeks.
Okay, so how many of you, well, no, we won't go there. All right, let's go back to Bill.
Bill Bennington, I've been an agent for 32 years.
See,
We run the gamut.
truly, okay,
They stayed licensed for 7 years, all of them here.
wow. So I've been an agent, I'm starting my 6th year, most of you could teach me. But the purpose of Ignite is to, well, 2 things, new agents, but then also experienced agents. We always need a tune-up, and we always need to, revisit things that work, because we tend to forget and reinvent and go for the shiny object. So that's why we do Ignite. So the one thing, especially, well, this is for all of us, but especially for you, tell me your name again.
Francie.
Francie. Being new is, we want to decide right now, I want you to decide right now, are you going to be a business owner? Or are you going to be an entrepreneur? Because that is going to affect how you run your business, what you do, and how you do it. And it's going to affect where your money goes, which is what we're going to talk about today.
I'm not sure I fully understand the difference between the two.
Well, let's talk about that. That's good. Does anybody else want to jump in there? Experienced agents, what's the difference between being a business owner and an entrepreneur?
Taxes.
Is that true?
Well, let's think, what comes to mind when you think of an entrepreneur?
Business owner.
Okay,
I mean, that is what I think of an entrepreneur.
so
An empire.
what, anybody want to look up what Google says an entrepreneur is? Just quick, look up what the definition is. I'm going to tell you really quick, the
Sure.
difference between an entrepreneur, and this is from, if you've been at Keller Williams at any time, you've seen this book. We call it for short the MREA. Gary Keller interviewed, gosh, I think it was hundreds, if not thousands of agents in KW and not in KW to find out what works. And he has formalized what works. So being an entrepreneur means you're always flying by the seat of your pants. You're always reinventing the wheel. You don't have a system. You don't have, when you're doing a listing appointment, you don't have like, I always do this, this, and this before, during, and after the listing appointment. It's like a machine. It actually becomes boring. Success is boring. And success comes from doing the same thing over and over. When you think about, we're in the playoffs, right? Those guys just go, hey, I think I'm going to go play football today. No, they spend hours of grueling, boring, hard practice. So when they play that game, it's just execution, 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 muscle memory. They don't have to think, okay, on this play, I go straight and I cut right. They don't have to think about that. They just do it. And that's the difference between a business owner and a professional and an entrepreneur. Because an entrepreneur goes, hey, I got a listing today. Let's see, what do I need to do? Probably should do a CMA, right? So that's the difference. That kind of clarify. So where that goes into numbers is, what do you think an entrepreneur does when they get a commission check? What's that?
Spend it, invest it in something that will help them continue to be an entrepreneur.
Put it back in the business.
Yeah.
Well, that's what a business owner does. What does an entrepreneur do? Hey, I got money. I could go buy that sofa. Right? What does a business owner do? They invest it. But more importantly, they're going to invest it in something that, like you said, brings more return. Right? So how much, I want you to write down, how much money do you need to put in your pocket to do what you need to do? Like for some people, real estate is for their family vacation. Some people, it's how they pay their bills. How much do you need to have in your pocket at the end of the year? Write it down. All right, now, how many houses do you need to sell to make that? You know,
18.6.
is it,
That's my number, yeah.
okay. So how did you get to 18.6?
Well, it was really my GCI goal and breaking it down from there.
Okay, what's GCI? Because not everybody might know what GCI is.
Gross commission income.
Okay, does everybody know what gross commission income is? Okay, so gross commission income, or we call it GCI, that is the amount of money you get from the title company at the closing. Gross commission income before any cuts are taken out, right? And then what do you do with that check? Let's say you're walking it.
Yeah, so then you turn that into the office and then you get paid out on your splits and pay
Right.
Keller Williams their money and then go
Right.
from there.
So he was able to figure out how many houses he needs to sell based on what his splits is, because this is the slide that I'm on.
Is that in the?
It's page 7, I think. Keep going. There you
Sorry.
go. Okay, so this is the GCI. This 9,000 is the GCI. Now, what he's talking about, the split, this is the amount that comes back to you, goes in your checking account or however you have the MCA or Renee paying you. Now, that's the difference between, the entrepreneur and the business owner. The entrepreneur goes, hey, I'm gonna go grocery shopping. The question is, what do you do with that money? That $5,760, where do you put it? Do you put it in your family account?
Currently,
Shame on you.
I know, that's changing this year.
Do you have a guess?
Not your family account.
Exactly. And do you have any idea why? Let's ask you why. Why do you not put it in your family account?
Well, I'd put after saving for taxes into the family account.
Okay, so
But-
your net pay. You put your
Right.
net pay, okay. But this 5,000 some, you split that when you deposit it.
Mhm.
You don't count. You're doing the right thing. So that $5,000, the reason is this is again the difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner. An entrepreneur just willy-nilly, a business owner puts it into a separate business account. Now, you always want to have separate accounts for your business. And the reason for that is if you put it in your personal account, you have just invited the IRS when you get audited to go through your personal accounts. If you use your commission check and put it in your personal account and then you go buy groceries, they're gonna be looking all over everywhere. You're gonna be poked and prodded. If you have it in a separate account, you just go, Mr. IRS, this is all right here. Makes it a lot easier. You, believe it or not, by January 31st can hand your entire business to your accountant for your tax return, and then you can go make more money.
Does it matter if it's in a second personal account versus a true business account? I used to have a true business account and it was much more complicated to do business. So now I have a second personal account. That's just my name. And it's what I use for business purposes.
You, do you have an accountant or a bookkeeper?
No.
Okay, so I would encourage you to get an accountant
Mhm.
and do what they tell you to do. I have an opinion, but that's not my purpose here.
Mhm.
So this
Like
is,
I couldn't transfer money from my business account to my household account.
right.
I had to literally go into the bank and make a withdrawal and make a deposit. And that was a
So
hassle.
if you, I would say, if you have separate records,
Mhm.
and you're saying it's personal account according to the bank.
Right.
They
right,
don't
that's all,
care.
yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
the
okay,
category that the bank has,
Doesn't matter,
Right.
okay,
it's just a separate.
right, it's a separate business. account,
Right.
yeah. Okay,
So we've got this 5,760. And we put it into some type of separate account, business account, another personal account, something that is only for your business. Now, there's that amount and you were talking about this, we split it out. We want to make sure that we don't come to the end of the year, because this happens.
Yeah.
You've made $50,000 GCI, and somebody wants a piece of it. And you've got bupkis. So to prevent that, this is what you can pay yourself. Now, how do we come up with that? This is how we come up with that. It's a formula. Right? So you can go to the next slide. I think it's this one. Oh, one more. Okay. So this is a very, very high level. What do you think goes in the cost of sales? No. Go ahead, Joe.
Would you pay another agent cost if you're a team?
Well, this is after you get your GCI. So this is cost, so let's shortcut that. This cost of goods or cost of sales is your broker fee to the office, to KW National. You can also put in anything that you pay to get this.
Would monthly office fees fall in that?
No. So things like pictures, staging, because that's directly related to your GCI. That's how you get your GCI. So, but primarily, especially for new agents, it's going to be your broker fees. They've got 30%, it's 36% because we have 6% to national. So operating expenses, 30%, and this is Gary's average, about 30%. If you're a new agent, it's not going to be 30%. But it gives you an idea, especially in the beginning when you just have no idea, like,
Yeah,
how much do I set aside? So in the beginning, the best practices would be set it aside, just set it aside, because then you can invest in classes, you can invest in your renewal fee, you can, you have it there. Because also, it's not technically operating expenses, but taxes
right.
are in there too. So anybody have any thoughts or questions or ahas?
How do you live if you're setting your money aside?
So that number on the other slide, that 2,400, it's really, so 40%. So you're getting, if you have a $10,000 commission, you're getting 4,000. Is that right?
Mhm.
3,000. You're getting
4,000.
4,000, yeah. So that tells you if you want to make, X, like this is what he did. I want to make X dollars divided by 4,000 means how many houses? Does that help?
Yeah.
$4,000 may not be enough.
Right.
It's usually not. Is that any experienced agents want to throw anything in here? You guys are awfully quiet.
To learn.
Well, we all learn together, so
Fair
share
enough.
away. Bill, do you have anything?
No, I think it's pretty accurate.
Because let's say you get to the end of the year, right?
Mhm.
You've made $100,000 GCI. And you've paid yourself the $4,000 each month, each time. And you have this huge amount in your bank account. You can pay your taxes, you can pay your renewal, and you can give yourself a bonus.
Yeah.
Right? So this is just to give you an idea, especially as a new agent, like kind of because we tend to look at that top number, that 9,000 that we saw and go, ooh, that's gonna be a lot of money. And then we get the check and we're like, well, crap.
Yeah.
That's not what I was planning on. So how do we talked a little bit, yeah.
On that example, then, you're paying your business taxes out of that, your expense category on the left side. And then you're paying your personal income taxes out of the profit at the bottom, right?
Yeah, this is assuming you're a sole proprietor. So for you. So there's, boy, how do I not go down the rabbit hole here? So in the beginning, you are one person and you are what they call the sole proprietor. So your income is put in with your, if you have a W-2 job altogether, and you pay taxes out of this, right? I'm talking mostly to you because you're
I
just,
appreciate
you're
it.
absorbing. I don't mean to pick on you,
Oh,
but
that's fine.
so you're gonna pay your taxes out of here is what Bill's saying, which in the beginning, that's true. So when you're estimating what you need to make, you gotta know, well, I'm only really gonna be able to spend 2,000.
Right.
So then that increases your number of houses. And most of it, I don't know, most of us at KW incorporate in some way, and I'm not gonna tell you the benefits of that here and now, I can tell you privately, but I would say, talk to your accountant, because there's good and there's bad. There's benefits, not benefits. I'll tell you really quick, one benefit of incorporating in some way, and your accountant can tell you how, is you can give yourself a paycheck. And now you're a W-2 employee. So when you go to apply for a loan, what did you give them? A W-2, like everybody else, because you're an employee.
Right.
So it's just, there's just some extra things there that you think about. Okay, so we talked about how to get from GCI to net, your net that you're gonna get from the sale. Everybody clear on how to calculate that? I mean, it is you have the GCI minus the royalty, which is 6%. So it's gonna be $600 minus the office, which is, you can't do math, Stephen, at 3,000. So what do you have left? Your net check in your account, in your business account is going to be 6,400. And so that's what you're going to split out. We went from 9,000 to 10,000 GCI. So that's what you're going to split out. She's here. So if you just click on this, he'll go next one. Okay. Everybody clear on that? I mean, that's helpful because you take what you want to pocket, and a quick way to go backwards is divide that by 0.64. And that tells you what your total GCI is. Divide that by your average commission, which, you can go with $9,000 or $10,000 and be pretty safe. That tells you how many houses, that's what you did. And you're at 18.6.
Yeah, I went off of my last year's average purchase price,
Okay.
so it's
'Cause it's
something that I
known.
have that you don't. Yeah,
Yeah, but you will.
Right.
If you keep track, and it's not that hard to keep track. If you keep track, then next year you'll be able to go, oh, my average price is this, and you'll. It's hard when you start at the beginning because you're working with a lot of unknowns, and the best thing is to, find the average. What is the average? And then you at least have ballpark somewhere. So let's go back to why you got started in real estate and how much you wanted to make. So anybody want to share, like, why did you start in real estate, and what's your big why for 2022?
I can start. Well, I kind of happened into real estate. My dad was a broker, and I got my license sophomore year of college. So that's what I started property management and sales after college. But my why is really family and just supporting my family.
So what is it about supporting your family? What does that do for you?
Just allows my wife and I to both live the lives we want to and provide for my children in the way I would like them to be able to grow up.
Are you the sole?
No, we both work.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're probably a big part of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? What's your reason for getting into real estate?
I might be a little bit different than some other people here. My reason for getting into real estate is to affect change by helping first-time homeowners buy a house to create generational wealth. That is my mission, more so than, I do need to provide for my family, But I would like to see a fair housing market in the future, and so I'm really passionate about middle and low income housing and wishing that there were more of them.
Okay, so what is a fair housing, how did you word it? What does that mean to you?
It means that we're not always selling the house for 15,000 over. It means that sometimes we sell a house because this is what it's worth.
So you kind of wanna change what you see in the marketplace right now?
Yeah, I mean, right now, when I bought my first house, I was able to work hard, my husband and I were able to work hard and save $10,000. It is very hard to find a house now where you only have $10,000 as a down payment. So I'm really interested in, you know, different loans, different grant opportunities, and also trying to find affordable neighborhoods and affordable houses so that people can start building generational wealth to
Mhm.
support their families, which is so nice that a lot of people have gotten to have, and I want that for everyone.
Yeah, that's a worthy cause. So is that something that's going to, let's go back to the football player. You know, he's in the mud, he's practicing, his
Right.
muscles ache, he's
Yeah.
exhausted, it's raining, he doesn't want to go out on the field, he doesn't want to go lift weights, he just wants to go sit in the sauna and wait till the game day. Is that going to be something that gets you out of bed in the morning?
I hope so. You know, also, I am currently I have been a stay-at-home foster mom for 5 years. And I do dream of returning to my proper place as the breadwinner and getting my husband out of his employment and into real estate as well. So that would take financial security to do that.
And you have to be successful for him to
Right.
jump in.
And because I want to sell low income housing, I have to sell probably twice as many.
Yes, you probably will.
So, you know, really like getting my systems. I mean, there are things that I'm thinking about hoping to learn and to do.
Mhm.
But I'm hoping that both of those will be a good reason to get to work.
Mhm. I find that, because I have similar kind of things in my life, I have goals that I want to do. I have a certain number of orphans that I want to feed in Nicaragua. And that's not enough for me to get out. Sometimes it is.
Sure.
So I need something a little more concrete, you know, for my family, for me, but you know, so it's both, because
Yeah.
let's face it, experienced agents. How hard is it some days to get up and pick up that phone that's ready to?
Yeah.
Little time.
I mean, I guess there's a lot of ways because I also really want my family, my friends, my community to trust me
Mhm.
with the buying and selling of their real estate. So I think for some people, maybe the mission isn't enough, but just being, I guess for me, impressing people, having people respect me, I think would be the drive,
Hmm,
you know, as well as, you know, mouths to feed.
yeah,
I applaud your ambition about the lower income housing because I did a lot of that when I first started too. And you gotta look at the goal of helping the people and not what your income's gonna be because it will come.
Right.
And one thing that I learned early on when I was in a pool of new agents at the company, there were like 4 of us. And a call came in, somebody wanted, this was a long time ago, but still they wanted a $40,000 house. And it was like, oh no, I don't have time for that. I'm not. So I took them out, I sold them the house, and 3 weeks later, their sister in Dublin was selling, and it was 250,000, which was like.
that was a large amount.
Yeah.
That was like $1 million.
Right, right.
For sure.
Well, I would love to talk about like racism in real estate historically and how do we affect the change
Yeah.
to make up for the sins of the past.
You might be interested in the diversity and inclusion committee.
I signed up for it.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
But,
because that's their purpose, yeah.
So
So,
thank you guys for letting me share. I appreciate all this. And if someone wants to buy a $40,000 house, you said. Where to find it?
well, I think Bill's talking about like 1995.
Yeah,
Because that's about what I paid for my first house in 93. I think it was 70,000. So, yeah, that was a long time ago. But yeah, the point is that we have to, let's see, I'm gonna get to. There we go. We want to have think about what do I want my life to look like? You know, this is part of what you want your life to look like. You want to see this out in the marketplace. You want to see this in your personal life. So we want to really visualize that. And I forget the statistic, but writing down your goals increases your chance of reaching them. It's like you have more than a 70% chance of reaching your goals if you have them written down and you revisit them daily.
Wow.
So,
Can I add something to that?
sure,
My wife and I did that last year,
yeah,
and we hung it up on our bedroom door, so when we close our door, it was always on when we open the door in the morning or shut it at night. And last year was the first year I hit my GCI goal.
wow.
Yeah.
There's a
Just
testimony.
It works.
I got shivers.
No.
You got what?
Shivers,
You
you know?
got shivers? Yeah, you know, and in the beginning especially, but even not in the beginning, even now, I had to go back to like, I just have to put my blinders on and do what I know works and not think about what I do or don't have right now. Just taking the right steps, just doing the right thing. It's that execute. And that, because we don't want our practice of a listing presentation to be with the client. It's very tempting. And it's what we tend to do. But the people who are getting the awards, the people that are working smarter versus harder are the ones that don't have to chronically think about, okay, I have a listing coming up, what do I do? You know, but that's what we tend to do. That's what entrepreneurs do. That's not what professionals do. And so we try to focus on having systems, right?
Yeah.
Having systems, having a plan, hire an accountant, hiring an attorney. Estimated taxes, that's more when you have started making enough money that they want you to pay estimated taxes. Then they get cranky when you don't do that, that's for sure. So how many, and I'm gonna pick on you some more.
That's fine.
Do you know how many houses you need to sell now? Let's assume 2,000.
Okay,
is
so
what you
for
need.
the number I wrote down, I thought I needed to sell 16 houses.
Okay,
And now it seems like I need to sell a lot more.
well, let's find out. Let's find out. Okay, you need to sell 16 houses. You need 16 closings.
Uh-huh.
Do we have any control over how many closings we have?
I think so.
No.
No, we don't. I mean, when, isn't it, if you
So-
make this many calls, you average this many closings?
Yes. If we need 16 closings, let's assume for whatever reason, some don't close. And that, you know, there's various thoughts on how many, Gary has a number, but let's assume 80%. And this depends on whether you're representing buyers or sellers. If you're representing a seller, you have like a 98% chance of closing. But a seller, you have like a 50% chance of even getting them in contract, right? In this market. So you said 16?
Mhm.
16 closings. So let's say, what's 16 divided by 0.8? Does anybody have a calculator to do that real quick? Let's say 80% of those close.
Point eight,
0.8,
20.
20.
You need it.
No, you need to divide.
Oh, okay.
'Cause you're going up.
Okay.
So 20, you need to have 20 in contract.
Mhm.
Now, here's a harder question. How many listing agreements or buyer agreements do you need to have signed to get 20 people in contract?
I don't know. I'm excited to find out though.
Well, let's just say 80%.
Okay,
So divide by 0.8 again.
25.
So you need to have 25 listing agreements or buyer agreements signed. Now, how many appointments do you need to have those agreements signed?
Are we sticking with the 80%?
For this, it's usually for a beginner, it's usually like 50% of 70. Is it 50% or 75? Do you remember, Bill? What is Gary's? Let's say 50.
Let's say 50.
I like to go with 50 because,
So 50.
okay, so 50. So you need to have 50 appointments to get 16 transactions. 50 appointments. That's a whole year.
Mhm.
How many people do you need to talk to get 50 appointments? I know you have no idea. Anybody?
What is it? What does it say more than that?
I mean, so
25%.
what's the stat on how many people you talk to get?
Well,
them?
Diana Kokoska used to say, and you won't know who she is. She was one of the big trainers for KW. She knew if she talked to 20 people, she could count on getting one appointment. I used 25. So 50 times 25, what is that?
1,250.
That's how many people you need to have a conversation, a two-way so the conversation, so we want to have, how many, 1,000? What did you say?
1,250.
1,250, so 1,250 conversations over the course of a year. And, you know, this is not, a conversation is not, hey, are you ready to sell your house? Are you ready to buy a house? It's, those conversations need to be, you want to come from contribution.
Mhm.
Hey, how you doing? COVID's really crazy. You guys doing okay? So you want to put yourself in front of them and maybe mention real estate. You want people to know you do real estate, but you don't want to be like sleazy, like car salesman. We already look like that. So 1,250. Now, are you going to work 52 weeks a year?
No.
Probably not. Let's say you're going to work.
You know, we're already at like week 4, so.
Okay, so that's 48. Let's say 4 weeks off. So 44, divide that by 44.
$28.4.
Okay, so you have,
That's a lot of
44.
conversations in a week.
that's a week.
Yeah.
Okay, divide that by 5. I assume you're gonna work about 5 days a week
5.7.
per day, so 6. That's 6 conversations a day.
Wow.
Can you do that?
If I mean, that's a lot.
Is it? How, are you working like 9 to 5?
No,
Are you working, well, how many hours? Do you know? how
I don't
many hours
know.
you're
I don't know yet. I'm in a transitionary period
Okay.
in my life. So, but it's nice to break the numbers down
Mhm.
and to see, and it's not gonna dissuade me. I think it'll encourage me.
Yeah, Gary says, you know, we can't control how many closings we have. He says, focus on the number we know we need to hit.
Mhm.
And the number you want to hit is the appointments, but the way you hit the appointments is the conversations.
So I wanna hit 6 conversations a day.
Yeah, and whatever's easier, you know, whether you
Yeah.
want to make it like, I gotta hit my 6 today, or if it's, what is it, a week, 6 and 30 for the week, right? That's the number you want to focus on. Now, do you go to the store to buy groceries?
Yes,
Are people in line with you?
yeah,
Do you talk to them?
yeah.
Okay, make friends. I literally had lunch with a stager about, oh gosh, probably 4 or 5 months ago. I met her 10 years ago and I was like, I don't even remember how we met, Barb. And she's like, yeah, it was at the line in Chipotle. Don't you remember? And now she's a stager. I wasn't a real estate agent then, but I was collecting names. So you can be in the grocery. Now you don't want to be like, hey, do you know anybody? I just happen to, like, that's just, You want to make friends. What do they do and what can you do for them? You get their contact information.
Mm.
And that can be how you get your 6.
So one thing I'm really concerned about with these conversations, because I love to talk to strangers, which is part of like why I felt like this would be such a good fit. But I have a tendency to talk about myself. You know, like that's always, I've been like an overshare. and it's
Anybody
time-
else?
And I'm now, yeah, and so now I'm like, I have to stop that and
don't have-
really try to hone in on like getting to know somebody else and talking about them, which is like, I mean, I hate to say it, I'm not trying to
Okay.
put myself down, but that's gonna be.
I
a
want
real
you to write
challenge.
in vertical. I want you to, Keller Williams used something different. This is what I remember. I want you to write F O R M. What does F stand for? Anybody? Family. You're gonna ask about their family. Hey, you got a big basket there. Do you shop for a big family? How many are in your family? Where do you guys live? How long have you been there? You have school age kids? What's O?
Organization.
Occupation.
Yeah.
This just gives you a platform to help remember it's not
Great.
about me.
Thank you for this.
R is recreation. And M is message. So your message isn't going to be, hey, I sell real estate.
Mhm.
Your message is going to be something like you want to come from contribution. Hey, you know, I noticed you are in IT. Do you ever need good IT people? Because I would be delighted. I talk to a lot of people. I'd be delighted to send them your way to help you find good employees.
I bet that gets you in a lot of places.
You give referrals, you're going to get referrals.
What if you don't know anybody?
What if you don't know anybody?
They don't know that.
I'm going to tell you a little story. When was this? In the late 80s, I lived in an apartment on King Avenue. I really didn't have any friends. When to get married, my weekends were smoking a pack and a half of cigarettes, watching movies that I got from Blockbuster,
Mhm.
VHS. That's a lot, and I wanted to get married. Waiting for him to drop out of the ceiling. Let me ask you, did he ever drop out of the ceiling? Uh-uh. So let me ask you, what do? You don't know anybody.
Well, you do like Francie does, you talk to everybody that you meet.
That's one way.
Yeah.
But how about like, I know one agent, he does, I don't know what you call it, but he goes out to, he joined a group and he does, helps work on the plants in the parks, metro parks.
Mhm.
He's met a lot of people that way. There's a lot of, what's that?
Volunteer.
Volunteer. There's a lot of, so that, I think the thing is we want to get involved in our community somehow. We want to, feed groups. We want to, sponsor a book club. Of course, that's a little awkward doing that in the house now, but there are still ways, things that you can do, because now these numbers, these are the Ignite numbers. If you add 10 contacts per week, 10 conversations per day, 10 handwritten notes, that's a lot in a week. Well, it depends on if you're doing open house. Preview 10 homes a week. That usually, the averages say that translates into 24 transactions. That's what they say.
So I'm sorry, this is a day.
Some of them are.
Okay.
I mean, if you're adding 10 contacts a day, I want to know how you're doing it.
Yeah.
So this is 10, probably 10 a week. This is 10 a day, 10 a week, 10 a week. Now this is really important in the beginning, looking at 10 houses. I mean, 10 houses is a lot to look at in a week if you have any kind of life or kids or anything. But even if you're looking at, what's that?
Especially in this market.
Yeah, if you're looking at 2 or 3, the more houses you want to get familiar with inventory. But here's the thing. Okay, so you've looked at a house and you're a new agent, and this probably isn't true of you because you have some life experience, but let's say you're 25, like when you started, you're 25. Okay, I looked at my 10 houses. So what? What are you looking for? So you want to make sure, take an experienced agent with you if you don't know what you're doing. Like,
Sure.
what do I look for when I'm with a buyer?
When, for showing time, because I just bought a house like a couple weeks ago. And I was able to like schedule my own showings to go look at houses. But if I'm just doing that to familiarize myself with the inventory, I know I would still schedule it through showing time, but would I just skip
Agent preview.
agent preview? Thank you.
That way they know you're not coming with a buyer.
Okay.
And you can set it to 15 minutes because,
A lot of times if you're not a buyer, 15 minutes is enough.
oh yeah,
You walk through the one thing out.
you can zip in and out, zip through. Does that help? Does that kind of give you a?
Totally.
Okay,
It helps a great deal.
okay. So you have to talk to 1,250 people in 44 weeks, and that's 6 people a day or 30 a week. Is that right? Yeah. 6. How, you feel like you have a path, right?
Mhm.
Does 6 a day feel a little more doable since we've talked?
I'm not sure just because I haven't done it.
Okay,
And I've seen how hard some people are working to have a conversation. I feel
what
like
do you
it
mean?
would,
What do you mean by that?
I was able to shadow a team who was doing cold calls and they do it for 2 hours and they weren't able to have, there was 2 hours apart and they were able to have maybe 1 or 2 conversations through that in those 2 hours. So that's why that's what intimidates me from saying yes. I feel like because the one thing I do have going for me is that I am a new agent within my community and my friends and family. So I feel like right off the bat, like I have this mental list of people who I know that, I have this like insider lead. But I think to keep it up weekly, I could see,
Where I'm gonna run out of people.
right.
Well, you're not gonna talk to people once. Like, let's say, how many contacts are in your phone right now?
I don't know how you know that.
What kind of phone do you have?
I have an iPhone.
Okay, then I can't help you. Somebody with an iPhone can help you. Start there.
Uh-huh.
And you're not gonna talk to them once a year. So if you
Right.
don't, you don't have to worry, I don't have 1,250 contacts in my phone. That's okay. If you have 400, you're gonna talk to them 4 times a year. Right?
Mhm.
And there's your 1,250. And you're also gonna be adding more. Now,
Hmm.
let's say you have these conversations,
Scroll
10
to
a
the bottom of
day.
your Contacts, sorry,
Uh-huh.
it'll give you your number.
Okay,
You
great.
scroll all the way to the bottom.
Oh,
With your
yeah.
iPhone.
There you go.
And I would encourage you to have your contacts backed up in the cloud, because that's your moneymaker right there. And if you only have it in your phone, what happens if your phone falls in the toilet?
7,598
Oh, my
contacts.
goodness.
So
I gotta tell you, there is this long list of no name. I don't know what that's about, but
Yeah.
it's very
I don't know if iPhone does this. Google has this annoying habit of if anyone, anywhere, anytime, any teacher has sent me an email, they're suddenly a contact.
Right.
It's annoying. So it's very likely so I would encourage you, and I don't want to overwhelm you, but it's going to make your job easier. Spend 2 hours a week cleaning those up. Get rid of the ones.
Yeah.
Get rid of them.
Do it when you're watching TV or something.
That's, yeah. Or I did it during the contract class yesterday on command. Okay, let's say you have these 10 conversations. How do you remember who you talked to, when, and what was said?
Note taking in command.
Did you hear that?
note taking.
Note taking in command. Are you familiar with the command yet?
Yeah, I've dabbled.
Get familiar with it. Because there's this great thing, activity, click, what kind of activity, text or call. And this is on my laptop because the keyboard doesn't make a sound. I'm talking and I'm typing. I have the date, I have what they said. The next time I talk to them,
You know,
I know what we talked about. Now, that means they're in command to start with. You don't want to put 7,000 in command. You want to
we'll
put,
talk again once I clean it up and see what
Here's-
that real number is.
here's what I do. I only have the good contacts in command.
Mhm.
I have agents, contractors in my Google contacts.
Okay,
I don't want them in command. I want to know, how many potential clients I have. So when you meet somebody in the grocery store, you have a time of day or time of week, they go into command, you set them up in command. When you talk to them next time, hey, what's your email? Blah, 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 blah. I'd love to, send you this market snapshot that you can look and see what activities out there, what's your email, what's your home address, or you can even get that from the auditor sites. So this is exciting for you. So now you feel like I can do these 16 transactions.
I do.
And if you're adding this person and having this conversation, you're writing them in your system, you can set a time, depending on what maybe they're just conversational and you don't really get anything from them. So you set up another time to talk to them maybe in 3 months.
Yeah,
And it'll tell you that anyway.
and it'll
Turn on
prompt
your
you.
system in the morning, it'll say, call Mary Smith. And maybe then Mary Smith is gonna say, hey, we're thinking about moving in 2 months. Well, 3 weeks later, it's something else.
Right. The way I've been thinking about it is very similar to your story about being single and wanting to get married. When I was dating, I would always say I'm like planting a lot of seeds. I'm
That's
like flirting
exactly.
with the deli guy, I'm like trying to,
You're thinking of a funnel.
yeah.
You're putting, all these contacts are putting things in the funnel. And what falls out are your transactions.
Mhm.
How do you get people to give you that kind of personal information in the line at a grocery store?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have found oversharing gives people the freedom to overshare right back.
Here's what I have found. First of all, I have to cultivate a grateful heart. And I have to come from a point of being joyful. And I don't know why. I have people telling me their life story in line at Walmart. Sometimes, and they will even say, I don't know why I'm telling you this, I just met you. And so, sometimes it's, hey, I would love to keep in touch and see how the blah, 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 blah went, or to pray for you or follow up, and they're like, oh yeah, it's like Field of Dreams. They're just going to get in their car and drive, and they're going to hand the $20, remember that? I'm telling you,
So are you giving them your card at that point, or?
it depends on the conversation, because
Okay.
to me, sometimes that feels
Oh, yeah,
slimy.
yeah.
We already have people view us as used car
Yeah,
salesmen.
yeah.
So I might pull my card out and write their name on the back and stick it in my pocket. It just depends on the conversation.
Okay.
Meeting a stager in Chipotle, yeah, hey, can I get your information because I need stagers?
Yeah.
And here's mine if you need anybody needs a market value. Anybody else experience people, thoughts? How do you make friends, Bill?
Well, if I'm talking to somebody I don't really know, I engage in the conversation. And if we do say anything about real estate or, that comes up with anytime, the card has to go into their hands because they have to remember you somehow. Otherwise, you wasted the time you're gonna walk away with money.
Unless you've gotten their contact information, you can call them.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about Lori's contract session, and one thing that was a great takeaway from that was she suggested having a blank side on your business card and writing a thank you, to your server or whoever and passing them out. I find I don't do much with people's cards that they give me. So do you think it is more beneficial? I mean, I guess the goal is for them to have your card and for you to get their contact information.
So you can follow up.
Right. Because I would think that having their contact information gives you a bit more control.
Yes,
It does.
because you are more likely to call them than they are to call you.
Yeah.
Now, business cards are extremely inexpensive, and the more you can scatter around, the more chances you've got.
Yeah.
So get them out all the time.
It is so foreign to me.
Mhm.
I've had these business cards for a couple months now, and I saw John gave one to, Scott, who was here, and I was like, oh, man, I should do that,
But Francie, you have to be real. And that's the thing that, to meet people in
Mhm.
line or wherever, like she's kind of like me, like she's just gonna be like, yeah. And that's who she is. You don't want to be not who you are.
Mhm.
Like in coaching this week, one gal was talking about how she does a lot of Instagram and she gets a lot of business that way. She's a millennial.
Yeah.
That's her age group. And another gal who's not a millennial says, well, what do you do? Another person said, our team, we do give out bags for Earth Day, and they do something for Earth Day. She's like, well, what do you do? And I looked at her and said, that's not who you are.
Right.
You have to be who you are, because people can sniff that out fast. And they don't want to do a big transaction with somebody that seems fake.
When I was in commercial, I knew there was a high likelihood that anybody I was calling was interested in whether I was buying or selling kind of thing. It's so foreign to me and seems very overwhelming that I gotta talk to 200 people to find someone who's interested. And it's uncomfortable for me to think that I'm gonna talk to people in the grocery store. One, I don't go to the grocery store anymore. I pick it up out at the parking lot,
Right.
but
Where do you go?
well, and I do have, I
You
do
do,
have-
I mean, you're a teacher, you're a professor, like you.
They're 21, they're not buying a house.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
they're-
they might,
but
they're
they're
parents.
Yeah.
And so you can start off with the labor shortage and
Yeah.
say, hey, I really need to know some painters or some,
Yeah.
like carpenters, or any of your parents, do you guys know any like contractors?
Yeah.
And
So where do you teach?
Miami, so I'm down in Oxford once a week teaching.
Okay.
But then I do have groups of people. I am in a book club. I work for Habitat for Humanity, although we have a very small team, so it's not like I have a lot of people to pass cards out to.
So let's say book club, you're at a book club or you're at one of these things. Hey, guys, you probably don't know this, but I'm moving from commercial to residential and I'm looking to expand my business. Be honest, I really don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing. So if you have anybody that is thinking about a move or is wondering how is Intel going to affect the Ohio market, I am here to help.
Those are the easy ones for me, because book club is tonight, they will all be getting cards, they all know, because
Yeah.
I commented when I was in class and I was taking the test and all, so they all know.
But let me tell you, you got to keep reminding them.
Oh, yeah.
Because-
No, I know.
Bill, how many people that you know, and they knew at some point that you were an agent, used somebody else because they forgot?
Happens all the time.
And I
And
mean,
anymore too, you can't swing a dead contract without hitting 5 realtors.
Right.
Everybody
Listen,
knows
I'm
that.
waiting for the half of them to not renew in this month because we need to.
yeah, it's
clean
the
house a
people,
little bit.
the people I know, I feel pretty confident about. that
So
I will
start with those.
I will stay on top of, reaching out to them and doing the things, sending the information, doing something. It's
Yeah.
finding people I don't know. I'm doing my neighborhood right now, and I went door to door
Good
on
for
the coldest day
you.
of the year, and nobody was home.
Oh,
So I now
Did you leave something?
I am now mailing things. I didn't want to leave it because I was, things blow away, this, that, and the other. So I'm mailing them something. It's going to be worth the stamp
Yeah.
because I am not going out in the cold again and knocking on doors where nobody is. But I'll go around again, obviously, when things get warm. It's a small neighborhood, but.
But it's a
so
start.
I'm doing something.
So think about, do you guys know what a flywheel is?
Yeah.
On a machine? What's a flywheel?
It's the thing that basically it's hooked to a pulley, and
Yeah.
as it goes around, then
And-
it runs the other part of what's going on in that machine.
So when a flywheel starts, is it fast or is it slow?
No, it's slow, yeah.
And what happens after as it gets
Oh,
going?
yeah, it speeds up and like I said, I know the commercial business inside and out. If you wanted me to sell a $50 million warehouse, I could take care of that for you. This is like the new world for me. It's completely different.
That's
And I've been in it a
exciting.
month. Well, and that's why I'm doing this. I wanted something exciting to do. I had aged out of the commercial business. I'd always worked for other people and I've been looking for a job for 4 years. Ain't happening. So I said, I have to control my own destiny.
Yep.
And this is one place I can do that.
So
Your
do you-
commercial contacts would be good though, because they sell commercial, they don't sell residential.
Oh, yeah, no, and that's what I'm doing. I'm letting.
Market to them is like your farm,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
exactly. That's the case.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, your database is where you're gonna get your transactions
Yeah.
income.
And if you're farming neighborhoods too, don't just do it once or do it once every year, do
Right.
it every month or every 3 weeks or. They've got to see you all the time, they can't. And it takes a while for it to set into, some people mail 3 or 4 months, they're like, I didn't get anything, so they quit.
How many, let me ask you guys, name me 3 kinds of toothpaste. Okay, you were able to just boom, 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 right? But what about Aquafresh?
Mhm.
Or did you? Okay, I didn't hear you. I can't think of any others, but
Yeah.
you want to be that person that somebody can go boom, 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 and that's what Bill's saying. You have to keep putting yourself
Oh, yeah.
in front of them. So the beautiful thing, the reason I said get familiar with Command is you've got these conversations, you're recording the notes, you're recording the people, you're putting them in, you're recording all the conversations, you know when to follow up. Did you know Command will show you how much potential income you can have from them
Wow.
through opportunities? So let's say, yeah, we're thinking about downsizing, but not for a year or 2. Divide by 2. Whenever they say, yeah, we're gonna buy, but not for 6 months, 3 months. Call them in 2 to 3 months, no more. Because they're thinking, I want to move in a year, right? So in Command, you can click opportunity, add an opportunity, and now you have a potential, Command will tell you what is your potential income here for listings and buyers. Did you know that?
No, I guess.
Play in there. You can't break it. We've all done that already. Okay, what else? Do you have any other questions? Like, what the heck do I do with?
I mean, the main question is, what's the difference breakdown between being on a team versus being a?
Depends on the team. Depends on the team. And every team is not the same, and, there's, personality. It depends on what you want. When you're on a team, you make less money. And I would discourage you you don't want to join a team if it's just to get leads.
Yeah, the reason I would join a team is for structure and discipline.
Okay,
Yeah, just being so carefree for the past 5 years.
okay, so let's talk about for a new agent, one easy place to get leads or have these conversations is an open house, right? So how do you get an open house? Who do you ask?
Anybody in the office? I see
Okay,
it posted every week on the Facebook thing, somebody looking for
looking for an open house?
The Facebook thing.
Okay, let me ask you, Bill. I don't know if you'll be willing
the
to say
office
this.
page. Are you on it?
No,
You should be.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need to get you.
I
on there.
haven't figured out how I want to integrate my social media professionally.
Well, this
Well,
is
just you.
announcements for us here in the
Yeah.
office.
Okay.
Capital
So
Park.
Bill, when you see an email or a Facebook post saying, hey, does anybody have an open house for me? What's your gut reaction?
I think they're doing a good job of looking for business for themselves.
Well, I don't. Because to me, that's Susan sitting on the couch waiting for, they are going after it in a way, but if you want open houses, you want to be in this office, you want to meet agents, and you want to, if you don't know how to do an open house, you want to shadow some people. You want to have a system of just like a listing agent. I have an open house bag. I do the same thing every time. usually Sunday at 10. Because I have my bag ready. I just do my forms, throw them in, I go. And so when I call, I have a list of agents. Do you have an open house next week? Do you have an open house next week? Monday, I send out 8 emails or personal conversations here. Do you have an open house? And I'm on a preferred list of a few agents. You also want to ask them, what do you expect someone to do holding your house open? Because when you have an open house, there's some conversations, but you want to know how to have an open house too. So, get with experienced agents, follow them. There's a lot of good people doing. I'll tell you who the serious open house person is, Dan Miller. He changed how I do my open house. I've gotten a lot of transactions from open houses because of Dan Miller's training.
We did have the open house class last week.
Oh, did
with
you?
Kelly Snyder.
Who taught?
Kelly Snyder.
Kelly Snyder. Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember that. Yeah. So what other questions you guys have? That's all we have for numbers.
The account team has a great system for people who hold their open houses. They give you a little packet that says, this is what we expect, this is what we want you to do. We want you to do this, this, and this.
So I'm supposed to show you, you can do a survey. Do one or not. What's that?
That's the first time I've seen.
Yeah, I, it's like. I had forgotten, thank you for reminding me, I forgot that.
Okay, so I guess I do, here's a question, and I opened this to the group. So I know lots of people who are interested in buying a house or starting the process. How do I get them? What are some recommendations for getting them to a lender so that we can figure out what they have to work with?
Well, I have, that's good. That's really good because that was your burden to be able to help first-time home buyers.
Right.
Since you just bought a house, you have a great experience. I would sit down with a piece of paper and say to yourself, what do I wish I had known? What do I think people should know that I already knew? And start there, because those are the things that you want to have to contribute to buyers. You want to have lenders that you work with that you trust. And you can talk to other agents around the office because lenders, realtors and lenders, we have a symbiotic relationship. Like I know the lenders I use, when I'm writing an offer, I need to know, can they get it done in 25 days or do they need 45?
How many lenders do you have in your list?
I always go with the magic number of 3. Like Lori says, we need to recommend 3 inspectors. I have 3. I don't want to confuse people. And so I just recommend 3.
But how many do you have in your list?
5 or 6.
I have like 25, because I've been in the business so long, I'm really good friends with so many lenders.
It's hard to,
Yeah, it's hard. to-
and some are better at other things.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you decide?
you get a feel for who,
Yeah.
like what product you're
Right,
looking
right,
for,
right.
how well they can do it.
Well, when you're new, you don't have that
Yeah,
tool yet.
just ask
so,
around,
Yeah,
lots of-
yeah.
Recommendations for you.
It's
Okay.
like learning to drive.
Yeah.
You got to drive. And sometimes, I don't know if you do this, Bill, but I have my list of 3, but I know I have one lender, he talks super fast and that can really annoy. Great lender, love him to death. But there are certain people I'm not going to send him to because he's going to really annoy them. And then they've got another one that he's very slow and he's very methodical, great lender, but there are people that he's going to really annoy. So that's kind of part of, because I'll send him my list of 3. If I have a form, I just, hey, check out one of these lenders. But then I'll say, I think you'll like, but talk to all 3. And first-time home buyers don't know this. They'll go where they have their deposit accounts.
Right.
They are not good mortgage lenders. They will not win the offer. When you have 27 offers and you have, ABC, big bank pre-approval and they have, somebody else has, you know, an approval from a lender that everybody knows gets the job done, who's gonna win?
That's
So
interesting.
who your lender is
Yeah.
makes a big
If you've got a
difference.
lender that every agent in the city knows.
Yeah.
They know they're gonna do a good job. And then you've got Quicken Loans that they went online and they got their approval, you're not gonna win with that.
Yeah,
And you're gonna have a headache all the way to the closing table.
that's interesting.
How do they do business, given that everyone?
Because they
is
offer,
satisfied with
they
them?
offer everything and they charge, their closing fees are,
Yeah.
Because some people really need money.
Yeah.
There's no- they don't have
well, they just,
opportunity.
yeah, they offer super low rates, but they, yeah, they.
I've had two experiences with them though, and I have to say, one was a listing and one was a buyer. And both times it went very smoothly. It was right on time and there was no problems. So I mean, I can't say that, but when you've got a buyer and they've used Quicken Loans, you've got to keep in mind that most agents, 80% of the agents in the market are gonna say, that's awful, we're not taking that.
And there, and I don't know, is it okay to name?
Uh,
Like there's another bank, it's the same way, they are,
I think it's okay to
100%.
name.
well, except this is being recorded. They're 100 times better than they ever were, but not everybody out there knows it yet.
Mm,
But, you know, I had a listing and someone wanted to take this offer and it was a big box bank and I called the lender and I said, listen, I used to work for you. And I worked there for 10 years and I bought 4 houses and I've never gotten a mortgage there because there's always problems, always. And 3 days before closing, and he said, oh, he said, I'm gonna surprise you. 3 days before closing, he called with the sale, which was like, well, we're gonna have to delay.
What was the issue that he couldn't have anticipated?
I don't
that he taken
remember.
care of it?
I don't
Red
remember.
tape, too many people.
I think
Yeah.
that,
Default.
I think the
Mm.
borrower changed, was gonna take a new position, but hadn't started. It was just, it was
Oh.
convoluted. But it was, yeah, it should have been foreseen and, you know, but I had prepared my sellers, just be ready. It's gonna happen. And, you know, same thing with buyers. You wanna prepare your buyer for that.
I'll say also, if you're looking for lenders.
Yeah,
I just met with a title rep this week and said, let me know who you get on offers from different lenders. And I can tell you who I've worked with personally and who's good or who's not
Right.
good. So you could go to a title rep that you've met with and say, who are lenders that you have experience can get the job done
okay,
on time.
right.
I
That's
will,
another avenue.
I will say being on a team gives you the structure and accountability you're talking about, but it also helps you in a safe way get acclimated to people, other people in the industry, lenders, title companies, contractors.
Was very beneficial for buying a house and I will soon be selling my house.
You just bought it?
Different one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I just bought a new house and I need to sell my old house and it's just a great way to meet lenders and things like that. I mean, you know, like painters, I don't know, I feel like I have, I've gotten all of my, I've gotten all of my vendors from Eric Ransom. And then they're like fine to me or whatever, but then when I do say I'm a newly licensed real estate agent, I really have to say, I feel like the service goes up a little bit.
You have, yeah, being a new agent, what some of the wording that Mary would give us is, well, you want to say, I'm a licensed professional real estate agent. It sounds better. And then Lori would always say, you're gonna get the white glove service because I'm gonna make sure I take really good care of you because you don't have anybody else. Right? You don't have 100
Yeah.
deals a year. And when I don't have the answer, I'm going to get the answer
Yeah,
from the agents in my office. Are you at this office?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, there's like, that's the great thing about KW. I don't know about the other offices, but this in particular, you can walk all the way around and ask anybody.
it has
anything.
been really a neat experience.
So I don't have anything else unless you guys want to keep talking.
Greg, your idea of talking to the title person about lenders is really good. The best person though is not the title rep, but the title processor.
Yeah.
You're gonna know who-
Yeah, but the one I was speaking to was very involved with the
Okay.
process, so that,
Yeah.
yeah, but yes, good point.
Because you can walk across the hall and talk to the title processors over there, and they'll tell you who deals very often. Or who
Right.
does.
Who gets their stuff in on time or early.
I feel like the real estate game is like becoming a sports fan. You just, there's so many names coming at you all the time.
For sure.
Yep.
Yes, there are. And were you in the contract class yesterday?
No,
Okay, so when you do that,
yeah, I've done it, I did it in like September. I actually want to do it again.
yeah, this occurred to me yesterday when I was like, wow, I've probably taken that class 5 or 6 times, but the first time, and I had forgotten this, the first time I remember thinking, how am I gonna remember all these things? You just like, make sure you do this, make sure you, like, but if you keep taking that class, things fall into place and, you know, I have things that I know that I do, that I protect my sellers and I have things I know to do that I protect my buyers. But at the beginning, it's just all like, you know, and you'll find probably 70% of the agents out there have never read the thing. I wish that was not true, but, all right, guys. Thank you.
Yes,
You're
thank you.
welcome. Thanks for coming.
And we don't have Ignite next week.
No.
Right.
No?
Is that right?
Just saying.
Not next week.
Next week, like the-
Okay.
How come not next week?